Hey there, my friends. Welcome to the Links to Messiah podcast, where we are passionate about teaching our children all about the connections between the Old and New Testament. I'm your host, Rachel Links Kushner, also known as the Chief Enthusiasm Officer of Links to Messiah, and I am so thrilled to have you join us today. Come along and discover how your family and children can grow in their faith as you discover the beautiful links that God reveals throughout Scripture about the history of His people and His Son Jesus, our Messiah. This past week, I had a special little, call it a family reunion, a sisters get together, and it was really a lot of fun. It did get emotional at times, but in the best way. My sisters and we had a chance to flip through old photo albums. We found our handwritten baby books and all these black and white photographs of our grandparents. You know, the kind of photos that they make you stare and pause. And I found myself wondering about the stories behind all of these faces. Some of the faces we could identify and some we didn't know who they were. But all of it really reminded me of this incredible heritage that I was given growing up in a Messianic Jewish home. And I want to bring you into that story today because I think it will encourage you as you build your own legacy for your family, for your children. So today I'm going to share briefly about each of my parents' journey, and I want to read a portion of my paternal grandmother's journal. We called her Mutti because my dad's first language was German, and Mutti is mother. And in turn, all the grandkids just called our grandmother Mutti. So I'm going to read a little bit of Mutti's journal for you because she documents what it felt like to flee the Nazis in 1939. And I know a lot of people currently are trying to rewrite history. But I want you to hear from her perspective. She lived through it. And many of you have asked more about that part of my story, so that's why I want to share a little bit of it today. So let's start with my dad. He was born in Vienna, Austria in 1937. It was a very dark time. It was during World War II. And when he was turning 2 years old, his family, his mother and father, and himself, so it was the three of them, just this tiny little family, they fled the Nazis and went to New York City. So just imagine being ripped from your home as a toddler, arriving in this new strange land, not knowing the language, and having to start from scratch. His childhood was difficult. Both of his parents worked very long hours to make ends meet, and that meant a lot of loneliness for my dad and very little guidance. But in high school, something incredible happened. He encountered Jesus, a Jewish teenager who was at that time in St. Louis, Missouri. My dad gave his life to his Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus, and that moment changed everything. Let's talk a little bit about my mom. My mom was an incredibly strong woman. Her story is different, but no less powerful. She was a Midwestern girl. Her mother died when she was just 18 years old, and her father was an alcoholic. So she did not grow up with the stability or nurturing that every child deserves. But God met her in the middle of it. She got saved while she was in nursing school in St. Louis, and it was there that she met my dad. Two broken people, two redemptive stories, one incredible God writing something new. So I've been thinking a lot about the legacy that we leave behind. And as I've said, we have Mutti's journal. They're her words, her thoughts, and her prayers, and they have been preserved for decades. Let me read from her journal. Now, these are her words. Keep in mind, English was not her first language. She is writing in English, and she wrote this in the 60s. So as you listen, you will hear some broken English, if you will. Some of it's really hard to understand, so I might do a little bit of summarizing. But here are her words. My sister-in-law from Budapest, Jolene, wrote to her aunt in New York, asked them to send us an affidavit. They promised and sent it right away. Now we had to wait till our quota. That means America let in a certain amount of people. It all depends upon where they were born. In our case, it was difficult. My husband was born in Czechoslovakia, our son Herb in Vienna, Austria, and I myself in Hungary. As I mentioned, it took 17 months till this quota was available. My husband had here in America a relative in New Haven, Connecticut, who were very rich and worked in the real estate business. We wrote and begged them to send us tickets for the boat to come over, which they promised to do for us. But they and also another relative who got us the affidavit wrote that they would help us with the affidavit and the boat ticket, but when we will be there, they will not help us whatsoever. According to the U.S. law, they are responsible for 5 years to guarantee us the help if we need it. We promised to just come here. We will help ourselves. We just want out from this hell. Month after month, we waited for the boat tickets with many hundreds of other people daily from early morning till it was announced whose ticket arrived. Finally, one morning, we were the lucky ones. After that, we had to wait for reservations. And then honestly, the next couple of sentences are really hard. I don't exactly know what she's saying. So I'm going to skip ahead a few sentences where she says, then I had a very hard time to annul my husband's sentence. So let me just interject something here. Apparently, my grandfather had a record. He had stolen something, so he had this police record. So it made it harder to get the paperwork necessary to flee the country. Okay, back to Muti's words. He could not leave the country, and on the other hand, America would not let people in whose reputation was not 100%. That had to be cleared. Finally, with God's help, this affair was solved. Then the difficulty to get the passports for all of us. Day by day, I was standing with my infant child with many hundreds others in line without any food. The SS soldiers were very nasty and tough with us. We had to stand straight, not moving out of line. They were right there with the club and would beat on Jews regardless whether you were a woman or a child. I can recall very clearly an elderly sick man with a cane who could not stand up straight, and they beat him in front of us till he was laying on the floor and could not move. Nobody was permitted to help him. But God was gracious to us and we got our passports. I still keep it because on front there was a big J which stood for Jew. Besides, we always had to carry our identification cards with a big J, and we had to have following our first name a Jewish name, Sarah. When we had to sign, we better use our Jewish name or else. The men also had a first name that they had to use and had to carry a yellow band on their arm. I think I'm going to stop right there. There is so much more to her story. I would love to share more. Maybe that's something that I'll do in the future. If that's of interest to you, let me know. You can leave a comment here if you're listening on Spotify. But if you would like to hear more of Muti's story, would you let me know? You can send me an email at Rachel@linkstomessiah.com. It's RACHEL @linkstomessiah.com. Reading her words connects me to her story. Even in her hardship, there's a thread of faith that weaves through the generations. That thread is what you're holding in your hand now as you teach your children, as you lead them in faith and create a home that honors the Lord. I want to say this clearly. Parents, what you are doing matters. You may feel tired. You may wonder if it's making a difference, but let me encourage you. This is exactly how legacies are built, with these little moments of faithfulness and bedtime prayers and open Bibles, messy crafts with scripture memory, and conversations around your dinner table. Even if your background doesn't look like mine, or maybe your childhood had more wounds than deep roots, God is still writing your family's story. God is the master at starting new things, even in the hardest soil. So today, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being intentional, for choosing to build something eternal in your family. I am standing with you, and I hope that you will keep pressing in. I want to create as many resources as possible that I can to help your family build that legacy. If you want to explore more ways to bring faith into your home and how to slow down, don't forget you can check out our Shabbat Club. You can check out our podcast archives on our website, linkstomessiah.com. A ton of free resources are available for you. You are not alone. I am here for you. Like I said, I want to provide as many resources as I can to help you build your family's legacy of faith. I'll see you next time, friends. Shalom. Thank you for being a part of the Links to Messiah podcast family. Your support means the world to us, and your feedback and engagement keep us going strong. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share this podcast with your friends and family. Let's continue growing this incredible community together. Until next week, keep reading the Bible to your children, keep their curiosity burning, and keep coming back for more tips to anchor your child's faith to Jesus, our Messiah. This is your host, Rachel Links Kushner, signing off with a big smile and a heart full of gratitude.